Picture this. You're standing in a crowded security line at JFK. You've done everything right, shoes off, laptop out, belt unbuckled. But then, the conveyor belt stops. An officer pulls your bag aside, snaps on blue latex gloves, and starts digging through your private belongings. Suddenly, they're holding up your life-saving medication, like it's a piece of contraband. Most seniors think that just because a doctor prescribed it, the TSA has to let it through. That assumption is the fastest way to end up in a private screening room while your flight boards without you. I've spent over 15 years helping travelers navigate the most high-stakes security environments on the planet. I've seen seasoned travelers reduced to tears because they made one tiny preventable mistake with a bottle of insulin or a simple pill organizer. The truth is, the TSA is cracking down harder than ever in 2026. What worked on your last trip might get your meds confiscated today, but it gets worse. Most of the advice you find online is either outdated or dangerously wrong. You don't want to be the person arguing with a federal agent about your right to carry a liquid prescription while the clock is ticking toward takeoff. Now, you might be asking, if I have my prescription, I'm safe, right? Wrong. In fact, the 311 liquid rule that everyone talks about, it's the #1 trap for seniors. If you're carrying liquid meds, gels, or even specialized creams, the standard rules don't apply to you. But if you don't play the game exactly by the TSA's 2026 playbook, you're asking for a headache you can't afford. I know this sounds like a lot to manage, but stick with me. I'm going to show you exactly how to armor plate your carry-on so you can breeze through security without an officer ever touching your meds. If you want to keep your travel stress-free and your health protected, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to tell you is the difference between a dream vacation and a total airport nightmare. Here's the first secret that almost nobody gets right. You do not have to follow the 311 liquid rule for your medicine. Most people are so terrified of having their expensive prescriptions tossed in the trash that they try to cram everything into that tiny quart-sized Ziploc bag. They're playing medication Tetris with their shampoo and toothpaste, worrying that their 4-ounce bottle of cough syrup or liquid supplement is going to trigger a security alert. But here's the reality. Medically necessary liquids, gels, and aerosols are exempt from the 3.4-ounce limit. Period. Whether it's a large bottle of saline, a liquid prescription, or even those gel packs you use to keep your insulin cold, the TSA allows them in reasonable quantities. But, and this is a massive but, there is a specific way you have to handle this, or you're going to end up in a secondary screening that feels like an interrogation. First, you have to be the one to start the conversation. Don't wait for the officer to find your liquid meds at the bottom of your bag. That looks suspicious. Instead, as soon as you reach the bin, pull those items out and tell the officer, "I have medically necessary liquids." It's like a magic phrase that shifts the entire dynamic from potential threat to compliant passenger. Now, you might be thinking, great, I'll just throw everything into a generic pill organizer to save space. Stop right there. This is where the original container myth can absolutely wreck your trip. Technically, the TSA does not require your pills to be in their original prescription bottles for domestic flights. You can legally use those Monday to Sunday plastic organizers. But just because you can, doesn't mean you should. In my years of consulting, I've seen officers get hung up on unidentified pills, especially if they look like something they've been trained to flag. If you're carrying a week's worth of loose, unmarked capsules, you are handing them a reason to slow you down. Here's the pro tip. If you want to use an organizer to stay organized, go for it, but keep a photo of your original prescription labels on your phone, or, better yet, bring the paper script from your doctor. And if you're traveling with anything high stakes like liquid morphine or heavy-duty painkillers, don't even risk the organizer. Keep those in the original pharmacy bottle with your name on it. It's the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. But it gets even trickier when we talk about the new 2026 screening tech. Those fancy 3D scanners you're seeing in airports like LAX and O'Hare? They see everything. If you have a liquid medication that's dense or contains certain chemicals, it might trigger an alarm, even if it's totally legal. Believe me, I've seen it go sideways when a traveler gets defensive because their exempt liquid set off a sensor. When that alarm goes off, don't panic. It doesn't mean you're in trouble, it just means they need to do a vapor test. They'll likely open the bottle, not touch the medicine, but just waft the air above it near a sensor. It takes 30 seconds, but if you don't know it's coming, it can feel like a major violation. Now, you might be asking, what about my medical devices? Does my CPAP or my insulin pump need a separate bin? This is where the real pros separate themselves from the amateurs. If you're traveling with a CPAP, a nebulizer, or a portable oxygen concentrator, POC, listen closely. These are classified as assistive devices. Under federal law, they do not count toward your carry-on limit. You could have a suitcase, a personal bag, and your CPAP bag, and the airline cannot charge you a dime extra. But here's the 2026 kicker. The TSA wants those machines out of the case and in a bin unless you're in the pre-check lane. And please, for the love of all things holy, put your CPAP in a clear plastic bag before you dump it in that bin. Those bins are legendary for germs, and you don't want that hitting your face at 30,000 feet. If you're rocking an insulin pump or a glucose monitor, do not let it go through the X-ray or the full-body scanner. Many manufacturers explicitly warn that the powerful radiation can fry the motor or the sensor. You have the absolute right to ask for a hand pat-down of the device. Just point to it and say, "This is an insulin pump, I need a visual inspection and a hand swab." They'll rub a little cloth on your hands to check for explosives, and you're on your way. Now, if you are 75 or older, you've earned some serious perks that most people ignore. You get to keep your shoes on. You get to keep your light jacket on. And if the process is getting physically exhausting, you can ask for a chair. Seriously, you don't have to stand there wobbling on one leg while they inspect your cane. Ask for a seat and let them come to you. But here is the Secret Service level tip that almost nobody uses. TSA Cares. It's a toll-free helpline you call 72 hours before your flight. You tell them your flight info and your medical needs, and they can often arrange for a passenger support specialist to meet you at the checkpoint. This is a specially trained officer whose only job is to walk you through the process and make sure you aren't being hassled. It's a free service, and it's the ultimate stress killer for 2026 travel. Before you head to the gate, let's run the go-no-go checklist for 2026. The 150% rule. If you use a POC, you must have enough battery life for 150% of your flight time. If your flight is 4 hours, you need 6 hours of juice or they won't let you board. The paper backup. Screens fail. Wi-Fi dies. Carry a paper copy of your prescriptions and a paper boarding pass. The international trap. If you're flying outside the US, some common meds like Benadryl or certain painkillers are actually illegal in places like Japan or Greece. Check the embassy website before you pack. I know this feels like a lot of hoops to jump through, but once you have this system down, you're untouchable. You're not just a passenger. You're a savvy traveler who knows the rules better than the guy in the uniform. If this guide helped you feel even 10% more confident about your next trip, do me a favor, smash that like button and share this with your travel buddies. We're all in this together, and nobody should have to choose between their health and their vacation. Safe travels, keep those meds close, and I'll see you at the gate.